Are you having a hard time creating an engaging environment in your online class? Well, tough. So is everyone else. But the pity party ends right now. Want to get better? Good. Let's go! If you're like every other teacher in the country right now, you're most likely trying to figure out how to blend your face-to-face classroom experience with an online one. This is simply referred to as a hybrid model. Hybrid is hard. Obviously, we get the face-to-face stuff. That's what we've been trained to do, and that's what we've been doing for years. It's this online stuff, though, that's really throwing us all for a loop and driving some of us crazy. At the start of the school year, I was afforded the seeming luxury of starting my classes in person. However, it felt like it was just a matter of time until we either went to a hybrid model or went completely online. And guess what? It took a little over a month and boom, hybrid. Some teachers prepared pretty well for doing stuff online. They beefed up their Canvas courses, their Google Classrooms, and other online platforms, and started using them day one to support the classroom experience. If you started the school year completely online, then you didn't really have a choice but to create online content and hope for the best. Other teachers, however, simply created online content just in case they had to do things online. And then when the inevitable happened, they more or less just threw Canvas at their students, expecting them just to figure it out and do it. They've made their online work seem more like a punishment or an ultimatum rather than an extension of the classroom experience. When this happens, student engagement plummets and they don't learn and understand what we need them to learn and understand. Then we as teachers kind of start feeling bad. All right, how then do we extend the classroom to an online environment and make it an engaging experience? I think one of the most obvious ways to increase engagement is to get students used to the tool early on. As I mentioned before, too many teachers simply use online material the same way a baseball team uses a relief pitcher. It's there for when I need it, but if I don't need to, then I won't. You have to get students using these tools as soon as possible. I introduce Canvas to my students on the very first day of class. We use it every single day. If for whatever reason they can't come to school because they're sick or they're on a field trip or vacation or whatever, they can just go to Canvas and see what they missed and know what to do. To put it most basically, my in-person class and my online class are one in the same. There's literally no difference. And because there's no difference, it's much easier for students to engage with. Now, when preparing content and putting your online tools together, you've got to understand how student engagement works in a normal classroom. There's really three parts to it: student engagement with the content, student engagement with other students, and student engagement with the teacher. While our goal should be the type of classroom where all these powers combine. Sorry. If you can figure out how to perfectly balance these three things, then you'll most likely win every single time. However, for most of us normal teachers, it's a constant balancing act trying to do all of these with the exact same passion and excitement each and every day. Sometimes we're great at getting students to engage with the content, but not so much with each other. Other times we're killing it, making sure we engage with the students, but not doing very well at getting them to engage with the material. See what I mean? It's really hard. We should aim to have these same types of engagements in an online environment. In fact, the better you are doing these things in a physical classroom, I'm betting it's going to be easier to do in a virtual one. So, here's some tips and tricks to enhance your virtual classroom and make it more engaging. Student engagement with the content. I remember when I first stepped foot into my classroom, my very first year of teaching. I had a vision for what I wanted it to look like. Actually, no. I had a vision for what I wanted it to feel like. So I spent some time moving things around, setting things up, and decorating. I wanted students to feel comfortable in my room. I didn't want it to be this sterile place that felt more like a hospital than it did their hangout spot. You've probably spent some time making your classroom feel good as well. You have to take the exact same care to make your online classroom feel just as good. So here's some ideas. Create a homepage. Whether it be on Canvas, a class website, or whatever, having some sort of landing page that helps simplify the tool with buttons that take them to specific parts of your course, like assignments, announcements, etc. Heck, maybe you could even include links to class social medias like Instagram or YouTube. Or maybe you're developing a class playlist on Spotify. Go ahead and put that on there. Make it fun, but keep it simple and direct. If you want to learn how to build a better looking and more functional homepage in Canvas, then be sure to check out the link in the description below. Next, be consistent in your format of projects and labs and other assignments. If you're developing instructional material, don't be too wordy. Again, try to keep things as simple as possible. Opt for more pages that students progress through rather than one huge long page that seems to never end. Additionally, present content in multiple formats. Use videos and text, include links to other resources. Don't overteach, but provide just enough that almost forces students to ask questions. Simply put, by taking time to decorate your online classroom, you're creating a more inviting environment that encourages better engagement. Student engagement with other students. Getting students to interact with each other to get them socializing is an important part of any classroom experience. And I'm not talking about the kind of socializing that wastes time. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about students engaging in the content with each other. We do this in a physical classroom by having things like discussions and debates, working on projects in groups, and having students present their work. So here's a few more suggestions to get them engaging with each other in a virtual way. Utilize discussion groups. When creating an online discussion, create smaller discussion groups. Students may feel more confident sharing their thoughts to 5 or 6 people rather than 30 or 35. Also, encourage students to socialize in these forums. Respond to comments, ask questions, share more thoughts, and really create a dialogue. It might not happen at first, but be patient and let them figure it out. You may need to offer copious amounts of extra credit to encourage such socialization, but pretty soon, they'll probably do it anyway. Lastly, don't be afraid to assign group work. You've worked hard to provide the experience and the tools, so let them utilize those resources and work together. Student engagement with the teacher. One of the most important parts of the classroom experience is the interaction between the students and their teachers. Honestly, this is where a lot of the most effective teaching takes place, in these one-on-one moments. It's important that the structure of your course supports you reaching out to students, both collectively and individually. You should also work to create an environment where students feel confident in reaching out to you. So here's a few other things you can try. Have a weekly announcement that goes out to students that briefly describes what the plan is for the week. This helps students who might miss class for whatever reason know what's going on and what they'll potentially miss. It also helps all the kids that are going to be in class know what's going on and what to expect. Next, provide meaningful feedback. I teach CTE courses, and so roughly 99% of my time is formative assessment and feedback. While students are working, I'm constantly walking around looking at their work, answering questions, offering suggestions, and helping them solve problems. This shouldn't go away in an online course, so take advantage of tools and resources to provide meaningful feedback. I've recently gotten into doing video feedback, and I love it. It's far more personal, and honestly, it goes way faster than trying to type everything out. Another thing I like to do is post my own responses in class discussions as well as responding to others' comments. A lot of times students respond to the comments I post, and it helps create a more social environment. Finally, you should take time to reach out to students individually. We typically reach out to the students who are struggling in one way or another, but it's equally important in online communities to reach out to students who are doing well. Consider it like a friendly checkup. Doing this will go a long way with your students. So there you have it, a bunch of ways to engage students in virtual classrooms that mirror so much of what you already do in face-to-face settings. Remember, the online class should be an extension of what we do in person, not something totally separate. If you're teaching 100% online, then use the same strategies you use in person to engage your students. How do they engage the content? How do they engage with each other? And how do they engage with you, their teacher? Now, before I go, there's one super important concept that you have to consider when working to increase engagement online. It's called social presence. Simply put, social presence is the degree to which you are perceived to be a real person when communicating. Are you a real human, or are you a Twitter bot? There are varying degrees of social presence. Obviously, being in person is the ultimate form of social presence. This is where our communication is the most meaningful. We can interact, understand tone, read body language, and distractions are easier to remove. But since we can't be in person in an online environment, here's some other ways to be socially present. Writing is the lowest form of social presence as it's the most impersonal. However, taking the time to write a personalized email or a little note that gets mailed home ups the social presence of writing, like a ton. Audio is a step up because they can at least hear my voice. Think of this kind of like a phone call. The best way to be socially present when working online is through video. A one-way video like an announcement or tutorial is a huge step forward because they can see me, hear my voice, and read my body language. A step up from these Loom type videos is synchronous options like Zoom, Google Meet, or Microsoft Teams, as these offer live interaction and feedback. One more word of advice. It's important that students see us as real people. Duh, I just talked about that. But I'm also talking about being real, like being open with our students. They should know that we have families, kids, and that we go to parties, go shopping, and that our music tastes aren't too different from theirs, and that we have bad days too, and so on. Not only will students think you're actually pretty cool, but it will help them to buy into what you're trying to teach them. It builds trust, and when students trust you, they'll pay attention. So as you're planning your course material, think of how you can be the most socially present and the most real. Personally, I'd recommend doing a lot of videos, but that's just me. You're going to figure out what's best for you and your situation. All right, guys, that does it for me. If you found this helpful, then please hit that like button and make sure to subscribe to the channel to get more tasty bits of educationary awesomeness. If you have any questions, then hit me up in the comments section below. And until next time, everyone, thanks for watching. Peace.